All right, so the latest is this, in case you missed it. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver said this, which is good.
This hiatus will be most likely at least 30 days.
But then he said this, which is bad.
Adam, is it possible that the season will not continue?
Of course it's possible. I just don't know more at this point.
Oh my God. Yes, the NBA season could possibly get canceled, which was the right thing to do. I mean, even if one person died because the NBA decided to play basketball games, it wouldn't be worth it. I mean, I love NBA basketball. Some things are more important. So, I'm grieving over the possible loss of the 2019-2020 season. This video is basically a therapy session for those of us who will be crushed if the season gets canceled. What are the top 10 things we will miss if basketball is over this year? Now, I'm not talking about, oh, we're gonna miss having an NBA champion. That's every year. I'm talking about stuff we could only get from this season, because this year was so good. I mean, for the first time in years, we don't know who's gonna be in the finals. The MVP race was going down to the wire. We had awesome big twos around the league. Let's hope this isn't a funeral for the 2019-2020 season, but instead something to look forward to when the season resumes. I have a channel announcement. First, I'm Casey Kiernan, host of the AM Hoops YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. We're gonna continue to make videos throughout the NBA season suspension. The announcement is that Angel's Garage, which is a TV show on Discovery, sent me an email because they saw the Delonte West video on AM Hoops, and they said, hey, here's a way for you and the people who watch AM Hoops to help the homeless crisis. So what they're gonna do is raffle away a restored classic 1968 Corvette Stingray L79, one of less than 10,000 that was made that year. And it's gonna benefit the Grand Central Neighborhood Social Services in New York City and the Los Angeles Mission on Skid Row in LA. Guys, this is a legit chance to help the homeless. We saw so many comments in the Delonte West video of people feeling bad. They said thoughts and prayers aren't enough. This is a chance to help people in that same situation. 100% of the proceeds go to these charities. So go to the link right down here. It's go.rallyup.com/shelter and buy a ticket for the raffle for just 10 bucks. The number 10 thing we're gonna miss about this season, if it's canceled, is Vince Carter's proper send-off. I will always believe one of the biggest mistakes the NBA has made in a while was not honoring Vince Carter with an all-star spot. I mean, they did it last year with Dirk Nowitzki and Dwayne Wade. Why not do it this season with another legend? I know you would have had different roster sizes on Team LeBron and Team Giannis, but who cares? It's the All-Star game. And now we may have been robbed with a proper goodbye to half man, half amazing. The 43-year-old is the only guy to play in 22 seasons, a face of the league in the 2000s. The cool part, he did hit this three in the final seconds of that last game, and he got emotional saying, you know what, he didn't want a big send-off anyway.
I'm not one for the whole thing anyway, so you ask a lot of people around me, they'll tell you. Game's been good.
Number 9, how deep could the Thunder have gone? The biggest shock in the West was how good the Oklahoma City Thunder were. We thought they'd be trash after trading Russell Westbrook and Paul George. We thought Chris Paul was washed. We thought wrong about all that. CP3 was the best scorer in crunch time in the league. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander developing into a future All-Star. Dennis Schroeder, a legit Sixth Man of the Year candidate. I think they would have upset the Jazz in the first round if seeding held, but we may never know how far they would have gone. Number 8, did Philly figure it out in the playoffs? So much was riding on this. I mean, the future of the Sixers, definitely Brett Brown as the head coach. Maybe the roster. Do they trade one of Joel Embiid or Ben Simmons if maybe they get bounced in the first round? Does Elton Brand get fired as the GM? I think the Sixers would have gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals. And it's a crazy prediction because they were Bucks level good at home and Pistons level bad on the road. Ben Simmons had injured his back, but if they were healthy, Philly would have flipped the switch in the playoffs. And don't think the switch doesn't exist. It absolutely exists, especially for teams like Philadelphia, where one of the main issues is a lack of effort. Number 7, the Raptors defending their title. The biggest shock in the East is how good the Raptors were. I mean, who saw the Raptors losing Kawhi and Danny Green and being almost just as good? Actually, we should have seen it because the Raptors were awesome whenever Kawhi rested last year, but we may never know what they would look like this season in the playoffs. It's sad that some people were putting an asterisk next to the Raptors title. They want to pretend like just because the Warriors got hurt, Toronto's chip is tainted. And that must have pissed off every single Raptors player, fan, person who worked for them, Drake. And I think they could have gotten back to the NBA Finals. Not that they definitely would have, or that I would have even predicted that, but there was a world where they got to the Eastern Conference Finals, stepped up, and took down the Bucks. Now they may not get that chance. Number 6, LeBron against Giannis for the MVP down the stretch. Now this would have been higher on our list, right? But let's be honest. Giannis had a pretty big lead in the MVP race. Yeah, LeBron was making his case down the stretch, but I think voters, at the end of the day, would have said, okay, we're not going to be a prisoner of the moment. We're going to take the whole season here into account. Even if you were liking LeBron's chances at a 5th MVP, there were only 12 games left. He would have had to be like peak LeBron for the last 12 games. But let's just say he did. LeBron would have joined Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Michael Jordan, and Bill Russell as the only players to win at least 5 MVPs. Kareem's got the record with 6. LeBron's 35 years old. What could be tragic if this season is canceled is I think this was his last realistic shot at MVP number 5. Number 5 on our list is Luka Doncic in the playoffs. It sucks we may have to wait to see Luka Doncic and Kristaps Porzingis in the playoffs. The most exciting story of the year, the emergence of Luka the Don as a budding superstar. Remember all the energy at the beginning of the season, the amazement as he was playing like James Harden / LeBron James / Larry Bird? It was like watching a superstar being born before our eyes. They would have probably been the 7 seed. Now, I think the Clippers would have beat them in round 1, but I would have loved to see how Luka would have stepped up his game in the playoffs. Number 4, the Rockets' MICROBALL. This was the craziest basketball experiment I've seen in a long time, and I loved it. Mike D'Antoni and Daryl Morey at the trade deadline were basically like, okay, look, we might both get fired here. Let's just do the thing that we've always wanted to do, but never had the guts to do. Go all in and just not even have a center. And guess what, Rockets haters? It worked. That first game of MICROBALL, they beat the Lakers. After that, they won 6 of 8. I know they kind of slowed down a little bit, but it is total BS if we don't get to see how MICROBALL and Russ and Harden worked in the playoffs. Let's see, they would have faced Denver in round 1 if seeding held. Denver had no answer for Westbrook and Harden in 2 of their 4 games this year. Then it would have been Clippers-Rockets, the spiciest series in years. I cannot believe we may get robbed of that. Number 3, the race for the 8 seed. This was a crazy statement a few weeks ago, but I think the Grizzlies would have gotten the 8 seed after all and taken at least 1 game in the playoffs from the Lakers. New Orleans had a chance to get the 8 seed, but I didn't think they looked ready, to be honest. I mean, who loses against the Timberwolves when you need every win? The Kings and Trailblazers had a shot too. Portland was just getting Yusuf Nurkic back. We may not see that. And the Spurs had a small chance to make the playoffs and extend their streak to 23 years. I don't think they would have made it, but now there could be no playoffs. The streak is still alive. Number 2, did Giannis win an NBA championship? I don't think the Bucks had enough to win a title this year. Chris Middleton is not a good enough number 2 to win a title. Mike Budenholzer's system, allowing as many threes as the other team could shoot, would have backfired. But actually, we may never know if any of those predictions are true. And a lot of Giannis re-signing or not in Milwaukee had a lot to do with what happens in these playoffs. The man just wants a ring. I mean, he knows he can get money and MVPs in Milwaukee, but can he get championships? The Bucks think yes, but they may lose their chance to prove it to him. Now what does Giannis do? Does he just sign the Supermax, commit himself to Milwaukee for 5 more years without knowing if he can win a chip? Does he ride out the last season and see if they can win? If he does that, he kind of screws the Bucks. If he ends up leaving, they would get nothing for him. It was already a huge postseason for Giannis in Milwaukee. Now the Greek Freak's future becomes even more complicated. And the number 1 thing we will miss if the season is canceled is a Lakers-Clippers Western Conference Finals. 4 top 10 players on the court at the same time, battling in a 7-game series for the finals. We've never even seen a Clippers-Lakers series ever, let alone in the West Finals. Next year, LeBron will be older, and the Lakers roster will be different. The Clippers may not have Montrezl Harrell, who's a free agent. This was supposed to be special, a once-in-a-lifetime series. This was the real NBA Finals. We may never get to experience it, and that is devastating if you're an NBA fan. So again, I hope that didn't make you too depressed, more sad than you already are, that the NBA season might get canceled. But this was the right decision. Again, if even one person lost their life, basketball games can wait until next year. But let's hope that in 30 days, this is just all a bad dream and the season does start up again. Support AM Hoops and click subscribe. Don't miss a daily NBA video.